Alright, hello everyone and welcome to WWE Discussion. I'm your host and WWE Tuesdays, Dougie Doug. In today's episode, I'm going to be discussing Monday Night Raw, October 9, 2023 edition. Bless you, cat. So this was a heated show, building off the successes of Fastlane. Cody, Rhodes, and Jey Uso now stand atop the men's tag team division and defeated Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens in an epic 20-minute main event to retain their titles. Seth Rollins met his next challenger and Drew McIntyre, and their match is set for Crown Jewel. Rhea Ripley put a premature end to Raquel Rodriguez versus Nia Jax, and she hoped to make a statement in the process, but instead it was Shayna Baszler who would make a statement. And after thanks to an attack from Shinsuke Nakamura on Ricochet, Bronson Reed won a triple threat match that also included Chad Gable and became the number one contender for the Intercontinental title. Raw had a chance to build a strong base for an exciting fall season, and this week's show began to set the scene. And with that, we'll go ahead and get right into the action. Starting with Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso, who after next week, when they defend the titles against the Judgment Day, and if they successfully retain, they should. I think it's time for them to move away from this Judgment Day storyline. So Uso and Rhodes pulled off a shocking victory at Fastlane, and the stage is set for them to have a busy run as the tag team champions. They are in the respect of the former title holders Owens and Zayn, and they can put Priest and Balor behind them next week. And while the end goal may be to pit Rhodes and Jey against Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso, the tag team division is deep of underutilized talent, and this is the time to elevate that talent. As far as fun as the Judgment Day is to watch, their control of Raw has kept many out of the spotlight. The future can be brighter with the tag team titles, or out of that group's reach, or in other words, keep the Judgment Day out of the title picture afterwards. You got new champs and Rhodes and Usos, and if these are your guys going forward, well then have them go on a run and have them defend the titles against other teams as well, because there are other teams in the division. Rhea Ripley versus Shayna Baszler. So forget a fatal 4-way match with Ripley versus Baszler versus Rodriguez versus Jax, and do this one instead, Ripley versus Baszler. So the women's division is focused on a battle seemingly of 4 women trying to prove who is the baddest, and this sets up a likely fatal 4-way match for the Women's World Championship. However, only 2 names of those 4 stand out for who should be competing for the title. Ripley has controlled the women's division with pure dominance since she was drafted to the brand in April. No one seems to be at her level. Wow. Mommy and Jax have history or a score to settle. Baszler is the most legitimate threat to Ripley's title reign. She needs to keep the story evolving, developing serious challengers, or WWE needs to keep the story evolving, developing serious challengers for Ripley. And the Queen of Spades and Ripley, if you recall their time in NXT, they had a memorable match back in 2019. They will revisit that contest on next week's Raw, but the true goal should be a singles rivalry between the 2 most dangerous women in WWE. It will give Monday Night Raw a foundational story that could be the best angle on the Raw on the Red brand, or at the very least a great story for the women's division. Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre, and as I talked about at the top, the World Heavyweight Championship match between the 2 was set for Crown Jewel. So Seth Rollins recently has been struggling to stand out as World Champion. He had a great feud with Shinsuke Nakamura, but at times his championship reign has been overshadowed by Gunther's and everything related to the Judgment Day. Eventually, Priest will cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase, but until then, the goal should be to elevate the vision area above just everyone. Only Rhea Ripley has the claim to greater importance on Raw. Drew McIntyre can be a great challenger for Rollins. The 2 have proven chemistry dating back to 2018, especially highlighted by their physical battle at Money in the Bank in 2020, especially carried by the slow turn of the Scottish Warrior. This can be the biggest angle on Raw for the rest of 2023. WWE should avoid making this a one and done at Crown Jewel. Hopefully this can also push Rollins back into the main event of Raw again and elevate his standing as champion. So yes, there was some questions about the direction of Seth Rollins in the World Heavyweight Championship coming out of Fastlane, but those questions have been answered, and now it is Rollins versus McIntyre. And yes, this is a great match, and it wouldn't be a bad thing if this kind of like extended from Crown Jewel to Survivor Series. So I guess we shall see. We got some matchups next week to kind of determine some things. Ripley versus Baszler, Gunther versus Reed. And speaking of which, Bronson Reed versus Gunther. This match, it could define Reed's future. So Reed now has the biggest opportunity of his WWE career, earning a Intercontinental title match against Gunther. And it's hard at the moment to imagine anyone defeating Gunther, but Reed does present a unique challenge for him. He's been portrayed as a powerhouse and no one is kicked out of the tsunami. What matters even more than the finish is what Reed will do with the opportunity. Can he get over as Chad Gable did? If the stars align for Reed in this title match, he could become a staple for years to come. But if the contest has no serious impact, he might find himself overshadowed by the younger stars. The match could be all or nothing for Reed, so no pressure, but I'm very much looking forward to this match because I'm very curious to see how the dynamic works in this one too, because Gunther is a powerful guy, but Reed is a big man. So yeah, I'm excited to see how this one gets booked. And with that will conclude this episode of WWE Discussion. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that like button down below.